Hello, Libra. Welcome to your 2020 overview reading. This is good for you if you're a Sun, Moon, or Rising Libra. And before we get started, please take a moment to subscribe to this channel and sign up for my newsletter so that you can get support and guidance for free from me throughout your 2020. And as always, if you want to know which decks I'm using for this reading, they are listed in the description box. And I strongly recommend that you follow me on Instagram and sign up for my newsletter because I will be doing a tarot pop-up here soon for 2020 readings. They are going to be a small offering, but they will be in high demand. So if you want to get one of those, sign up for my newsletter so that you can get a notification when those come out. And by the way, I generally just send out newsletters every Sunday with a reading that gets sent to your inbox, all good things. So other than that, let's get started. I'm going to lay this spread out, then we'll dive into the reading. Okay, let's start with your oracle cards. So first thing, I converse with awareness. Watching your communication, maybe you're sharing too much, or it's something where you're withholding too much. So it is about really putting that awareness into your communication so you can really feel out what is the necessary communication in order for me to create connective tissue without dumping too much vulnerability onto somebody prematurely in a way that's not true intimacy. You see what I'm saying? Or like giving people unnecessary information. Like if you have a toxic family and you're telling them everything, might not be a good idea. It depends on your circumstances. So just be really aware of the information you're sharing with other people, if it makes sense for you, if it feels good for you, if you need more practice communicating more with people. Wherever you're at, just have awareness around your own communication patterns and really do some work on that this year, and I think you might see some massive successes. And then we have look to nature for healing. So take it back to basics is the main thing that I'm getting from this card. It's kind of like, don't overcomplicate things if you don't have to. There's no reason why you have to do the most complex things. Like, you know, I always give the example, if you walked into the doctor complaining about a headache and they said brain surgery, that's it, you would probably be a little bit concerned. You know, maybe start with hydration before you do something really invasive. You know what I'm saying? So this is where looking to nature is kind of reminding you, go back to basics first for answers and see where that takes you regarding your healing. The Sovereign Oracle card for you is Obsession. Notice what pulls you forward with great intensity. Evaluate your priorities before charging in with full force. Check in with unconscious passion. Does it support you? Obsession for the sake of obsession really isn't helpful a great deal of the time. So this is the main thing that's coming through here is just, again, the awareness around communication, the awareness around the obsession or the desire in general is something that you can evaluate in order to help guide you in 2020. Like your desire, a lot of the time is probably communicating something, but it can also highlight some wounding if it's really unconscious. So pay close attention to that as well. And then we have enthusiasm. Similar to that obsession, what pulls you forward with great intensity? What do you feel really passionate about? And using enthusiasm to your advantage, you know, it's one of those things that can really lead into inspired action quite quickly. So if you feel like procrastination is an obstacle for you, or it's a problem, or wavering on something is an issue, then look to enthusiasm to help break you out of that. If you're enthusiastic about it, action will come, it will be more readily available from that point. The central energy for you in 2020 is the Four of Swords. So the main thing that comes up with this is slowing down and rest. Rest does not mean that you don't do anything. Rest does not mean that you don't take action. This is referring to your pace. So if you're trying to come out 2020 guns blazing, yeah, you know, all of this energy, you might burn out really, really quickly. So again, you kind of want to go back to basics, like focusing on sustainability. I think that this is a really common thing for people just across the board when it comes to like a new year, setting intentions. It's like we're such in a practice of wanting everything overnight, but really underestimating what we can accomplish in a year. But it's just about understanding your pace and understanding your flow is a great asset. Let me see what the crossing energy is. Ace of Wands. Okay. Yep, this is super clear. So I pulled this as like the challenge card or the obstacle card. Now, because you have two cards that are really highlighting energy and temperature, the Four of Swords is a cooling card. It's a yin card, what I would call it, like shifting into winter. The Ace of Wands is fire. That's like wanting to ramp things up. This is like summertime sunshine. And so the main thing that's coming through is that the Ace of Wands, in order to get this energy, you have to be willing to refill your tank and restore everything that you've lost. It's kind of like, you know, you need to replenish your electrolytes after you work out. Like that's something that's really important. And so before you charge ahead with full force, as this card mentioned, before you do that, you really need to focus on building your chi, building your energy, and letting that be something that helps navigate you and it supports you in your flow this year. That's a big, big, big deal. Is not burning energy rapidly. That's not going to be effective this year. And also not just like contemplating doing something without taking the necessary steps to refill your tank. You need to be doing both. And then what you have shifting out in 2020 is the Fool. I think you probably did a lot in 2019. Or maybe you started something new, or you started pursuing something different in 2019. And so this is about building the chi, building the energy in order to make that a reality. I'm just seeing this as a process that you're going through in order to get to the next step. Let's see the oncoming energy. The Hanged Man, habits, consistency, and as I said, unless you're an earth sign, consistency can be really challenging, or unless you have a lot of earth energy in your chart, that can be a huge block, like really not finding the right rhythm. Rhythm will save you in 2020. I think this is the big obstacle here, is building energy first, not expending energy first, and then wondering why you're burnt out. So before you drop in to do something, or before you spend a ton of energy doing something, make sure you're nice and full, well-fed, taking care of that type of thing, so that you can actually put the energy into the thing that you want. And that's going to be a game changer. Now let's look at your goals, your aspirations. You can look at this as a career card or a project that you're working on. We have the Magician. Doing more of the internal shifting, creating, the energetic work is really going to help you. So a lot of the time when it comes to like pursuing a goal, we see action cards come up a lot when it comes to that. The Magician is highlighting more of the metaphysical, spiritual, the blueprint happening in the astral is where I think your energy is going to be better. It's just going to serve you a lot better to focus on that area. You know, the crafting the vision first is going to be a great help. So the more you can do that, focus in on that, then things are going to unfold from there. But it's kind of like you don't want to just aim at something without having a clear vision of what it is that you want. And so make sure that that is very, very, very clear, and that you do spend some time with the energetic tools, whatever you might have in your toolbox, in order to support your goals. It's not just going to be action for you in 2020. There's a big piece of energetic work that needs to be done to meet them. And then this is relationships for you. This can be romantic, right? Like you can use this to check in with a partner or something like that. Or just to check in with your love life, or it could also be friendships, more social stuff. It depends on your intention. So you can just kind of hold that in your mind now. And we have the Wheel of Fortune. I'll clarify this one for you. Ten of Spades. Okay, you know what? So the main thing coming up with the Wheel of Fortune, when I initially saw it, I was like, it looks like shifting. So sometimes people describe the Wheel of Fortune as like a shift in luck, or like the wheel is turning in your favor. But remember that every single time there's a shift in something, that also means it's going to come with letting go of something as well. So the 10 of Spades is equivalent to the 10 of Swords. And so it's the shedding energy coming from your relationship area. Now, I don't like making predictions on like breakups and things like that. That's really not my style of reading. 2020, you know, a year is a long time. So when you think about this, it can be more refined or more specific than just, oh, you're losing a relationship. I hate making predictions like that. It's not my style. Instead, look at it as things that are fatiguing the relationship need to be shed in order for the quality of relationships to improve. You're going to need to let go, shed the skin in your relationships in order for that new experience to shine through, or that higher quality relationship to shine through. It's kind of like you just can't hold on to a whole bunch of pairs of shoes that don't fit when it comes to your relationships, your friendships, things like that. So whether this be an upgrade in the approach that you're taking in relationships, that could be something that's evolving, which means that you're going to have to stop doing things that don't work, or, you know, in a specific partnership or relationship that you're focusing on, the goal of the operation needs to be about trimming the fat, removing what no longer works, and taking that seriously so that you can both be, or whoever's involved, can be the highest expression of themselves. And so the 10 of Swords is helping you to do that so that the wheel can turn in your favor. But it's kind of like you can think about everything that you're holding on to that no longer resonates or no longer serves the relationship is kind of rusting that wheel. And so you want to scrub that off first, get rid of that first, so things can continue moving smoothly. Now, this is your material world. Think about your home, your money, your resources. We have the 5 of Pentacles. I'm going to clarify this one too. But this is the experience of lack. And I notice I say experience of because it's the feeling. No matter what the external circumstance may be, you could have millions in the bank and still feel poor, right? So it's definitely the internal experience happening here. And then to clarify this, we have the Ace of Wands. It's about the energetic piece that is so key for you when it comes to your material goods, your material support, your well-being. Because you guys know this is a general reading, right? So when I say the experience of feeling like suppressed or confined or in a deficit or something like that, the energy that you build, because this is the same card that we had as the crossing energy or the challenge energy, I see this as something that you want to continue building, and it's going to help with your material support. So the more time that you take to build your own energy and to cultivate the chi that you need, then you're going to be able to send that in the direction of building the resources that you want and calling that into your space. So that's a very important factor here when you're looking at it, because the Five of Pentacles is just saying, hey, this is what you're navigating, this is what you're working through, or something that you're going to want to get support on. Because of course, I push free will as always. So it's like, even if you're having this, it doesn't mean it's not workable or shiftable. It's just about the energetic piece as being something that you can really tap into. And then from there, the financial piece, the resources piece really picks up the pace, because the energy is flowing in there, and then the manifestations can actually breathe. So that's what you want to practice here. The advice for you in 2020 is the Seven of Cups. Now, while there's always going to be options, there's always going to be a whole bunch of different roads to take and different things to map out for yourself, you don't have to be overly concerned with making the wrong decision. That's kind of a waste of energy. The right opportunities are not going to pass you by, and it's like you're not going to just go down the wrong path in life. So you don't need to over clutter your mind with contemplation. That's not going to be a good move. I would say the better solution there is to get quiet. Like, get quiet, get still. If you're feeling confused, don't write 12 pros and cons lists. You know, that's not gonna bring you clarity necessarily. It's more about stillness, getting quiet, figuring out what's the missing piece here. And again, your attention really needs to be on this energetic piece right here. Building the chi first, giving to yourself first, putting on your oxygen mask first. Doing all of that first is going to support everything else. It's going to work out the relationship piece. It's going to work out the financial piece. It's going to work out the goals piece, because you actually have energy to give. But if you're not taking that time with that Four of Swords to build it, which is what the Four of Swords is for, you won't get to the Ace of Wands. And so this entire reading, the whole 2020 energy, is be mindful of what you're expanding on and what you're building on and what energy you actually have to give in 2020. The better you can evaluate that, the more realistic you're going to be about what you're needing in the moment, and the more awareness you're going to have on that, and it's really going to serve you. It's going to make everything, it's going to bolster all of the stuff that you want, so you have energy to go do the things that you want to do. Go back to basics. I'm telling you, this is a month where you really want to master the basics so you can move forward in stride. Now let's go into the timeline for second, third, and fourth quarter. So these are about 3 months each, you know, give or take. It's a little bit more fluid. So the first quarter, we have the Two of Cups, connection, collaboration, working with people. So this is a highly relational card. It's that connective tissue. If you're super focused on love, you know, this is a great card to see coming up here, because it highlights that, right? The Two of Cups is about connection. But for others of you, it could be being met with the opportunity, the right contact, the right timing, the right whatever. It's just the synchronicity is there, you being met with what you need, and that's what's coming up with this Two of Cups. Second quarter of 2020, we have the Chariot, full speed ahead. So this is where things really start to pick up the pace. You're going to want to be extra conscientious and mindful of how much energy you give at this time, because this is kind of showing up as like, yes, there's momentum, but it's also with an asterisk. Just in the sense that build first, then expend energy. You need to build it first and keep it topped off. Don't go without giving to yourself, or that's really gonna deplete you, and it's gonna make it harder for you to get back on track. And so you just, ideally, I would recommend making that a priority. This right here, this central and crossing energy, is the crux of 2020. And so the Chariot is just reminding you that it can start to feel really out of control if you're not taking that time to slow down for a moment, fill your tank, and it can, you know, kind of go off the rails if you're not careful. third quarter, we have the Seven of Swords. So there's like some secrecy, movement hanging out over here. And I mean that on your side of things. It just seems like there's a lot of processing you're doing independently. I don't mean secrecy in a bad way. It's just there's almost like a lack of visibility right here. Like things are more hidden on your side. And I just think it's because you probably have a lot of stuff on your plate during that third quarter. Similar to the Seven of Cups, it's like if you have all these different things going on, you might want to kind of take that into another room, work it out on your own, and then come back with a plan. So there's some contemplation, problem solving with that Seven of Swords as well. And then wrapping up the year, we have Four of Wands, comfort, harmony. This is like the happy home card, celebration card. And so I see this is all stabilizing. I think your year is really about getting to this point of true stability. That's kind of the direction and the momentum that you have going. It's just that all of the things that you're trying to juggle and all of that, it's exclusively dependent. I shouldn't say exclusively, that's a bit extreme. It's highly dependent on your energy and building it and giving it to yourself, and actually having the energy to give the things that you want, right? Dealing with this relationship evolution, getting that wheel to turn in your favor is going to take a lot of energy, and if you don't have to give it, then it's going to sit on the back burner. So until you're giving to yourself, same thing with money, until you're giving to yourself, it's going to be hard to initiate in these areas, and it's not going to be as grounding as it would otherwise be. I'm going to do a 3-card pick, so you're welcome to ask a question, ask for clarity, guidance, support, whatever you feel like you're needing. Card number 1, we have the Hermit Retreat. See, the Seven of Swords in that third quarter really was reading more as the Hermit card, kind of like processing quietly, taking time for yourself. Maybe it is getting back into nature, doing things that help you clear your mind and get you really grounded and present in order to support you elsewhere. So the solution is find your light within yourself and use that as a way to make the moves that you want to make. Card number 2, we have the Two of Wands, watching things come in. So it's like if you've set the intention, you have the endeavor kind of mapped out in front of you. The Two of Wands is about kind of watching things grow, watching the crops evolve and develop and mature. And so there is somewhat of a patience to this card, and I know everyone hates hearing that, but in part it's like you've already done a lot of the work and you're in the middle of reaping the rewards from that, but it's kind of like you also might need to wait for that fruit to appear as well. So it doesn't mean you want to throw in the towel or stop doing something. It's just about being honest with yourself about where you're at in the process. Like, are you early in this process? And if so, don't judge yourself super harshly for that reason. You know, be mindful of that. And then card number 3, we have the Hierophant. As I've mentioned, you know, with the Hanged Man, it's funny that it's sitting on top of here because the Hierophant is taking aligned action, consistent action, you know, being in a space of consistency is the Hierophant's goal. It's ultra consistent, ultra structured. That's very hard to maintain for many people. So you don't need to aim at that goal necessarily, but using this as a tool for yourself is probably what will either remedy the situation that you're asking about, or it's the main thing that you want to keep in mind is what is your system or what is your method or what is your strategy for doing what you're doing and getting where you want to go, because the Hierophant is going to help you with all of that. So keep that in mind and take that with you. Thank you so much for joining me today, everybody. I absolutely appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget, if you want to know which decks I used in this reading, they are listed in the description box. Don't forget to subscribe so you have more supportive videos throughout your 2020. And don't forget to watch your sun, moon, and rising if you haven't already. And if you want to know how to work with me one-on-one, go to onyxhealing.com or check out the description box for all of the fun stuff that I have to offer. And until next time, have a beautiful 2020, everybody, and I will talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.